Good evening, Barbary, Fakafon, Eric, DJ Gamer. How goes it? Hello, Dragon Ace, Fool Arcana. How be? Hello, Winterburn, Zero Resistance. How are ya? Yeah, RE2 remake hype for sure. Yeah, Tiny Font can get kind of rough. It's kind of weird that games don't have an option for like subtitle size in a lot of cases. Yeah, Winterburn, I know exactly what that's like. My semester starts tomorrow. All of a sudden I have to actually do work. Man, what's that like? I can't wait to drive for 40 minutes in like 30-degree weather, although it's better than the 14-degree weather that I had today, so who knows. All of a sudden, double the temperature doesn't sound cool. Why it's so bad? DJ Gamer, I thought the demo did have an ending. I haven't played it, but I was under the impression that there was an ending, it's just hard to get to, like in Resident Evil 1. Because that demo had a 15-minute time window, although it didn't count in inventory screens, so it was longer than actual 15 minutes, but that's still pretty damn tight to do the entire mansion. Bearberry, yes I did, actually. I did order the Resident Evil 2 board game. I fear that's going to take a bunch of space. Speaking of which, I actually tried playing the Dark Souls board game with my friends a couple of days ago. We stopped in the middle, because it's our first time, it took a while, but we're about to fight the Titanite Demon. Hello there, Insane Buffoon. Hello there, Meowington. How be? Winterburn, there will be a Resident Evil board game. They're like on the verge of shipping it, I believe. This was like a kickstarted affair. Alright, I think it's about time to get started. Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy... Oh, wait, no, that's not how you do it. Hang on. Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Scramble. There it is. Did it right. First time, every time. So we are continuing with the last hour of the game. I'm excited. And now we come to the first decision of the chapter. We only have 4 characters to choose from, so who's it gonna be? Kano is right there with Maria as the man with the cane was about to fire, and we did hear a gunshot. Did Kano shoot the man with the cane? Minorikawa has learned that Toyama is in fact alive. The hunt is on. Osawa is building up to quite the climax with the virus that's going to take out all of Japan. And I can't scroll to Achi because I can't do a full rotation anymore. Going back the other way, Achi is with Hitomi, and he has just discovered that the man with the cane was hired by his own father. Who is the character going to be? We have 1 vote for Minorikawa. 2 votes for Minorikawa. 3. I'm actually a little surprised. 3 for Minorikawa and 0 for everyone else. I must admit, you're taking me a bit by surprise on this one. 1 for Osawa. 1 for Kano. 1 for Achi. Damn, now we got everybody. Still, though, Minorikawa's winning against everyone by 2, so it looks like we're going to go with him. Okay, well, 2 for Achi, but Minorikawa's still winning. I gotta admit, I thought everyone would jump on Kano just to see what would happen with Maria, but Minorikawa, we're doing it. The TV news continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. Hello there, Dracologist. What does this mean? Chiaki blinked in confusion. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide, didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. Hello there, Crossy. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time. Minorikawa wanted to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive. And if he was still alive, then there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time, with a big scoop waiting in the wings for the issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Ozu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him. He sat back down on the sofa. But Sagawa leaned threateningly toward Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where the guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. Say what now? He leaned in even closer just as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. This is so stupid. Both reeled back, clutching their heads in their hands. God, this is idiotic. Just calm down, Chiaki, Minorikawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm going to look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article. Oh? Ozu raised an eyebrow. Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. Well, I want to change up the plan for next month's issue, and I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What Minorikawa was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of 4-star General Gossip. If Akafan is saying that, like I guess Sagawa looks kind of like me, and Winterburn says darkest timeline. I become some asshole who threatens Chiaki when she eats paper. He was pretty sure the article on Osawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. If he could find the scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet that sales figures would go through the roof. He found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Okashi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off of the page. Minorikawa quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okashi Pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man. That must be what Osawa wanted him to look into. The guy his wife had been dating before they were married. It should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. Minorikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. Toyama, right? The piece had been written by Toyama himself. Yup. Hey, ain't you done yet? Sagawa yelled. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Minorikawa thought. We're gonna need to do something about those guys. Or these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves are packed with a jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills. Oh, man. Noodle House delivery menus and the like. This is depressing. Look faster, Sagawa growled. For now, Minoru Arakawa decided he'd better butter this guy up. Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. So, okay buddy, I'll do it. Or, call in for noodles for dinner? What? Hey there, Diego. So how is this gonna work, ladies and gentlemen? A or B? Butter the guy up, or butter the guy up by having some noodles delivered for dinner? That's kind of an odd decision to make. But I guess if we have noodle forms in the drawers, then there you go. When life gives you lemons, order noodles. So what's it gonna be? Chat. With this funky beat in the background. 1 vote for... Nope, 2 votes for A. Anything else? Yeah, butter noodles. Let's try it. 1 for B. Noodles are great. So 2A, 1B. Excuse me, 2B. Hello there, Wakokami. 3 for B. Hello there, Ichigo Berry. 4 for B. But 3 for A. 5 for B. Huh. I'm kind of thinking we should go with A, but B it is! Hey, you guys hungry? I was thinking of ordering some soba. Man, this ain't no time for that, Sagawa snarled. Besides, we just had some soba anyhow. And ugh, it was awful. Don't talk to me about noodles. Sagawa launched into a shadowboxing session as if trying to punch out the provider of his disappointing soba. The guy clearly had zero capacity for sitting still. Minoru Arakawa had found the back issue of the gossip he was looking for, so maybe it was a non-choice? He still needed Chiaki's article, though, and she wasn't quite finished yet. He had to buy some more time. By the way, he said to Sagawa, are you familiar with SOS? SOS? The thug paused mid-jab. Yeah, SOS. I was planning on interviewing them later today. I hear them some pretty tough guys. Only one of them who would be able to give me a fight would probably be that Achiendo. Except as I hear it, he's left the gang. Aha, really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays they're being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rung a bell. True, Suzumu Hirasawa was inspired by prog rock and has been a prolific musician for the past, like, 15-20 years. I particularly like Island's Door, Parnesian Circle, and Town Zero Phase 5. He's also famous for doing a lot of the music for Berserk in the 90s, as well as the opening theme for the newer Berserk OVAs, as well as the soundtrack to Paprika and, oh no, what's that incredibly awesome anime called? Paranoia Agent. Those two young punks who'd been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in a pretty rough state since Hachi left, though, Sagawa added. Minoru Arakawa didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state? Well, back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder Achi hated that sort of thing, but now that he's out, a lot of rough-and-tumble, hot-blooded types have been signing up with them. Smart move is not to get involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here when there's a lot of them together. And their main hangout. That's at Inferno, yeah? Yeah, over on Uraharajuku. Known as Urahara for short. I wonder if that was like... I might have that wrong, but wasn't there someone called something like that in Bleach? I haven't really watched much Bleach, so I might be just way off about that. I don't know. The area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku Station, around where Takeshita Dori meets Meiji Dori. There are many small clothing and accessory stores here set up in renovated houses. Most of these shops are on the cutting edge of youth fashion, offering quirky and unique means of personal expression. Man, you've been listening out in the streets. What gives? Or Harajuku, huh? Minoru Arakawa smiled to himself. Inferno's location had practically fallen into his lap. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait. Nah, no way a coward like him would go to a place like that. Jackie looked up from her keyboard with a freaking bandage on her forehead. That's amazing. Look, can you please shut up? No, you shut up. Oh, the chat is confirming there was Urahara in Bleach. I wonder if that was a nod or if that was just a name. I don't know. That's my phone. Minorikawa pulled a cell out of his pocket. Incoming call in English? That can't be right. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen? Minorikawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, I died in the van explosion? Give my daughter insurance money so I could pay my way out? Huh? What were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. I'd still be up to my ears in debt, so I thought if I made it look like I was dead... Minorikawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive, so your little attempt at subterfuge didn't even wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Minorikawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay that back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print run of 1 million copies and still sell out if we run it as an article. Toyama perked right up. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you all the details. Just get your butt back here. But aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine, then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two thugs crowded nearer, a predatory gleam in their eyes. I freaking love these guys. They're badass, and yet they constantly get their asses handed to them, but they still are intimidating. And Minorikawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly, before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere! Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Nice! Minorikawa's alright. Heh, Minorikawa said as their footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. These guys are redirected constantly. It's amazing. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. He must feel like a real cock of the walk right now. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Right then. So where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am in Miyashita Park. What? Minorikawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. God damn, that's great. What the hell are you doing someplace like that? Why the hell did you tell him Miyashita Park? I thought it would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. This is no time to be fighting, Chiaki put it in. Yeah, you're right, Minorikawa scowled. Anyway, Toyama, those guys are headed your way. We need you to get out of there and go someplace we could talk. I can meet you there. Right. Okay. They needed someplace safe in public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. But where? Minorikawa thought. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. Recalling the noodle house from the menu he'd seen earlier, he opted for that. Double down on noodles? Nothing suitable came to mind. Probably Toyama should decide. Cafe? Noodles? Let Toyama make a decision for us. What is it going to be, ladies and gentlemen? I'm quite curious about this one, but that was freaking amazing. Can you imagine Toyama, too? Tell me where you are. Okay, thanks. Miyashita Park. What? You didn't even get a chance to answer? So, how is this going to go down? And yeah, right, Falcofon, when you roll a natural 1 on your bluff check. No kidding. You imbecile! It is Miyashita Park! So, 1 for A, 3 for B. People like doubling down on those noodles. 4 for B. Anything more? 5 for B. 6 for B. Let me just mark this down. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this today, but I'm going to mark down on my Microsoft Word document where I coughed so I can edit out in post. I freaking hate coming off of illness, but we'll do what we can. Alright, we have an overwhelming vote in favor of noodles. Dogen hot, huh? Toyama rumbled the words under his breath. What's the matter? Is there some problem with that? No. Alright, I'll meet you there. Oh, yeah. Isn't that a bad idea because Toyama might owe them to... Well, no. No, you can't build up a tab at Noodles, can you? It's over on Dogenzaka. The address is on the menu. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki, how's that copy coming along? Well, almost done? Just a little more, I think. Alright. Bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you've got so far. Minorikawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. Someone else opened the door. Let's do that. That's how I meant to clear my throat. How embarrassing. Ah. Yeah, right, Winterburn. Is there anyone Toyama doesn't owe money to? That's a good question. You've got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to press. What? The writer submits to the editor submits to the designer. This is the next step in that whole handoff process. Naturally, being late for this causes quite a lot of trouble. 56. 55. What? A slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down on the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. Minorikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication he'd even heard Minorikawa's question. What is this, an anime character over here? I suppose I can wait here, he continued. Just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino? Is this guy talking about our submission? Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Minorikawa asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still the man remained silent. Minorikawa was furious. Look, cut the crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. My name is not Hey You. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing Co., Ltd., Sales Department Division 1, Koichiro Katayama. I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. A pleasure to meet you. My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. Sachio Usui, 39 years old, single. A longtime veteran at Cho Nippon Printing. Rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. At around 1:10 p.m. earlier today, while driving to meet with one of his clients, he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted into the street. Oh, wow! He crashed into the car next to him and ended up at the hospital. Achi and Hitomi. Uh-huh. That's ridiculous. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Minorikawa asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. I'm not joking, and don't call me Shirley. Our company's proofing deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly back at Minorikawa. Now, that had to be a joke. I heard from the editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean, then, that you don't have any copy for us. It's not that we don't have it, Minorikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay the proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we've been having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, Minorikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us until 8? 3 more days? We don't have that long to live. Till we're done. Interesting. 8 o'clock, 3 days, till we're done. What's it going to be, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, somebody in the chat suggested this guy is like L. I could get behind that. This guy's pretty neurotic about that deadline. Sorry, only 36 and 2/5 of a second left. So how is this vote gonna go? A, double down on 8 o'clock. B, 3 more days. 2 for A, 1 for B. Anything else? 3 for A. I mean, the game doesn't even go until 8 o'clock. 1 for C. Man, everybody's going for A. Personally, I would have gone with C. But alright, we'll see what happens. That was the original understanding. It was unfair to change it now. 8 o'clock, And where's your guarantee that you'll finish by then? We will. Just trust me. I'm supposed to heedlessly trust the word of a man I've just met. Katayama mused. We're down to 10 minutes and 46 seconds, by the way. You son of a bitch! Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for the printer. High and mighty? I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of the things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us, you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that and blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes for more work on our end. Nice vocabulary. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Minorikawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. These freaking vocab words, man. If he backed down now, though, it was game over. 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase, yeah, I figured. Thus far, he has said that's just common decency 3 times? I swear I thought it was twice. Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? No! What is happening? Did he show up in somebody else's story or something? This game's messing with my head right now. Now it's gonna be like an obsessive thought. Damn. Ah, come on. Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. Yeah, Dracologist, you're holding us up, you soft-spoken git. I mean, he is holding them up by just constantly reminding them how much time is left. But, like, I don't know how he sounds. I'm just doing that. Even though, apparently, the Japanese version of this game did have full voice acting. Katayama's eyes were once again locked in his pocket watch. It was no use. Murata. Minorikawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Jackie held her hand up. May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities. Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's your name, miss? Chiaki, she said bashfully. Chiaki Iso? The printer's expression brightened visibly. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers. Huh? Chiaki was taken rather aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow. All right, Minorikawa shouted, practically in Katayama's face. We agree to those terms. No, I wasn't talking to you. But we've got terms of our own. Katayama reeled ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position... Oh, sorry. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? We're going to finish up our copy on site, then burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation. Oh, very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Minorikawa pumped his fists in victory. Alright, Chiaki. Go and copy the DTP data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Jackie quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. Okay, done. Then let's go. With the others in tow, Minorukawa headed for the noodle house where Toyama will be waiting. We'll see if that noodle house comes to anything, as opposed to some other location. Alright, victory. Short-term victory. The soba restaurant, Dogen Hut, was roughly halfway up Dogenzaka. A long-standing noodle shop on Dogenzaka. 2 years ago, the owner passed away from illness. Now, the restaurant is run by his widow, Maki Yoneda, and her 2 part-timers, Masa from Midoriyama Academy, and Mohinder, an Indian exchange student. Despite the sign billing the establishment as a soba restaurant, duck meat soba and chilled curry soba are the only 2 actual soba offerings. The rest of the menu, for some reason, is all udon dishes. And in fact, both kinds of soba are terrible, though maybe the chilled curry soba would be okay if someone else were making it. Jeez, zing. Inside, they encountered the proprietress near the store. She held a massive cleaver for cutting soba noodles clutched in one hand. Toyama wasn't there. "Excuse me," Minorukawa said. "Has a middle-aged man come by your shop? Name's Toyama?" Whoa. Whoa! Is this like JoJo Part 4, where the chef looked terrifying for the entire episode, and it just turns out he was just being a chef, and he was just being framed weird because it's funny? The proprietress let out a weary sigh. This is like that one woman in the Asian restaurant who was just like a horror movie character for no reason in this game. That guy, huh? You folks know him? I have his remains right here. Yes, that's right. Then I'm sorry. I didn't want to have to do this. It was all his fault, though. Jesus. You reap what you sow. Minorukawa didn't know what she was going on about, but suddenly he had a very bad feeling. So then, Toyama was here, he asked cautiously. Yes, he came by. 1 Toyama entered. 0 Toyamas leave. Well, where is he now? Please tell me. No. I have no obligation to tell anything to friends of Toyama's. Wow! Evidently, there was some bad blood between Toyama and this woman. The real victim here is me. Yeah, right, Dracologist. The place is empty and there's a sign, Chiri was here. Her voice rose abruptly to a roar. Now listen up good to this old woman's story. I don't have time for this, Minorukawa thought. He needed to find Toyama as soon as possible, but instead it looked like he'd be stuck hearing out this angry woman first. So this might have been the wrong choice. We're just losing time here. Alright, we're listening. Tell us your story. It's a long one. Ah, God. The woman's mouth twisted up, and she licked her lips. This freaking game. Leaning in to tell her tale. It's so artsy. Long ago, when I was still in my 20s, I would often make deliveries to Heaven Publishing. They were some of my best customers. Back then we were so busy, my employees practically worked themselves to death. You see, Dogen Hut had the finest soba in Japan, and our spokesmodel was considered one of the most beautiful girls in the world. Back when this woman was in her 20s, Heaven Publishing hadn't even existed yet, but Minorukawa figured he'd better not correct her. That would probably just piss her off and make her stop entirely. He kept his mouth shut and listened to her silly tale. But anyway, that's all in the past now. As time went on, we had a lot of delivery customers asking us to put their bills on their tab. Oh my God, he actually did rack up a tab. So much so that it became a problem, and we changed our policy to disallow that sort of thing. But the fine folk of Heaven Publishing considered themselves an exception to that rule, and that put my part-timer Masa, who does the deliveries, in a bit of a bind. Okay. Oh, Masa's a student at Midoriyama Academy. A first-year student at Midoriyama Academy. After getting indigestion from eating too much parfait at a fast food restaurant on Center Guy, he was there with his girlfriend to do a dry run for a competitive eating contest, he wound up going to the restroom 14 times in an hour. Didn't we hear something about this before? Unable to stand idly by, his girlfriend called an acquaintance of theirs, the gluttonous Really? Chirigo Osugi, for advice on improving Masa's intestinal fortitude. It turns out, however, that Chirigo was planning to compete in the same contest. Knowing that they were up against some monumental competition, the two continued their training, wary of the battle to come. Oh my God, I hope this becomes like an arc. like we continue this story. He took the day off to go on a date with his girlfriend. I hear they're planning to compete as a couple in some ice cream eating contest that's going to air on TV. So they were going to a practice run together today. Honestly, how ridiculous is that? Honestly, I couldn't care less about Masa one way or the other, Minorikawa thought. This whole experience was turning into a real ordeal. So yes, we were in a real bind. I run a restaurant here, not a charity operation. I'd call and ask them to settle up, but they'd always insist, oh, we don't have any money. And that's a lie? It's gotta be a lie. What else could it be? Otherwise, how could they keep making that magazine of theirs? That's Celebrity Confidential, or whatever the hell it is. Celebrity Confidential was a weekly tabloid put out by one of Heaven Publishing's competitors. Minorikawa was just going to have to let that egregious mix-up slide. And that's not all, the proprietress spat. Oh no. On top of that, their magazine's little gourmet Gabs corner, or whatever they call it, ran a scathing review of us. After that, customers started keeping their distance, and I aged 20 years practically overnight. Gourmet Gabs was a column that ran in Celebrity Confidential. There was nothing of the sort in 4-Star General Gossip. This woman had clearly gotten the two magazines mixed up somehow. Awful. Just awful, isn't it? All I wanted to do was make soba for people to enjoy, and so to be treated like this, to be treated like this. The woman had started to sob. Oh, so I totally misread that. The cleaver began to waver in her trembling hand. But then, earlier today, these two Yakuza-looking fellows came by, said they were looking for Toyama from Heaven Publishing. Guess they saw one of our menus at his office and figured he might have come by. She had to be talking about Ozu and Sagawa. They'd both been nearby when Minorikawa was rooting through the desk drawers. They must have spotted the menu then. I told them he wasn't here and hadn't ordered delivery in some time, so they said that if I happened to see him, to give them a call. Now, I was going to just turn them away. They looked like a pair of nasty loan sharks. Toyama would never be able to pay off his tab if they caught him, and so I told them as much. The proprietress lowered her voice before continuing. But they said they'd be most appreciative if I could let them know. Even offered to pay his tab for me if I did. And well, that pretty much settled it. So I let them give me their phone number. Minorikawa's face went pale. This lady had been bribed by those two thugs? And so I guess you figured it out. A little earlier, Toyama dropped by, looking like he was trying to lie low. Oh no! Bad end! Toyama's gone! Oh no! So it all came together. I snuck out back and gave those two a call, and so, here we are. You guys were just a hair too late. Oh, crap. Toyama had been carted off by the moneylenders. Minorikawa had to find him right away. Mr. Mino, Chaki squeaked nervously. We have to hurry and go look for him. Yeah. Minorikawa and the others headed for the door. Wait. The voice sounded as if it had echoed up from the very depths of hell. What is this? Minorikawa and company stopped in their tracks. What? You think I can just let you go? The older woman began to stalk towards them. Those guys. They left without showing their appreciation or paying off that tab. They lied to me. And so just who's going to show me the appreciation I'm owed? Who's going to pay that tab? You're all in this together, trying to play me for a fool. But hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Holy shit. The proprietress lifted her cleaver high. Her eyes smoldered with inhuman rage. A murderous aura surrounded her like a bonfire wind. Wait, Minora cried. We're Toyama's... his friends? Then prepare yourselves. You'll repay his debt to me with your lives! The three companions stood paralyzed with horror, watching their bloody doom approach. The blade glimmered in the dimness as she swung it towards Minorikawa. Time for some fresh meat. Holy shit, that's a corpse party ending! With straight up red? Wow! Minorikawa, Chiaki, and... this isn't a direct quote, but even Katayama screamed, their cries echoing clear across Tokenzaka. Holy shit, dude! Best bad end. Oh my god. Tragedy at the Noodle House. Wow, dude. It was no ordinary grudge that the proprietress of Dogen Hut held toward Toyama. Oh no, it was the grudge. Yeah, Trichologist, I was actually thinking that. Ah, fresh meat from Diablo. As Minorikawa and the others found out firsthand, falling victim to her mighty cleaver. Yeah, this isn't the right place to have them meet up with Toyama. Seriously, who the heck decided this was a good idea? Yeah, chat, what were you thinking? I mean, thank you for that incredible bad end. That was, like, the best decision. Hello there, cheap camera guy. God damn, that was a great ending. Bad time, 17 o'clock block? Wait, what? Wait a minute. Does that imply... Hang on. Are we for real right now? That was the only bad end in the block. And we chose it. It's the first thing we did. Oh man, that's precious. That's freaking great. Hey, I know, let's choose somewhere else. Oh wait, no, that doesn't matter. There, where should we meet? Oh man, that was great. Okay, so are we gonna go with the cafe, or let Toyama decide? That was freaking amazing. Wow, so now I don't have to go bad ending hunting for this last block. Thanks, chat! You achievement hunted for me, thank you very much. Alright, we have one vote for C. My god, only one bad end in the entire chapter, and we choose the character that has it, and we go for it directly. That's freaking beautiful. 2 for C. Yeah, right, Dracologist? This stream so far has been the gif of a kid biking and hitting the only lamppost around. So now, unfortunately, this means that any wrong options we choose will lead to just interference with story. We're not going to find any bad endings this way. So, no, like, Arcana, like, I know it's a joke. Like, A, the maid can kill us next, which is a very good point, actually, but now we know that it's not going to happen. So, C. Let's go with C, because the chat's overwhelmingly in favor of C. Hello there, Arclightling. Let Toyama decide. You got any suggestions, Minorikawa said? Let's see. There's a bar in Daikanyama. Daikanyama? I drop by a lot. How about there? And this is real, by the way. This is not a 428 thing. This is an actual fact. A very fashionable yet relaxed neighborhood in Shibuya. High-end boutiques, high-end restaurants, high-end confectionery shops, high-end cafes, high-end interior design stores, and high-end residential housing all line the streets. A settlement dating back 2,000 years to the Yayoi period has been excavated in Daikanyama, but it cannot be said for sure whether its dwellings were high-end for the time. High-end, 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 high-end. Yeah, honestly, DigiGamer, it does somewhat suck the tension out of the rest of the block, because we might get keep outs or something, or just be unable to progress, but it's not going to be bad end. That bad end was freaking great. With that look, with like her looking at her own cleaver, I was very much reminded of, I think it was like episode 2 of Slayers, The Slayers, the first anime I ever watched, where this pawn shop broker was looking to buy some cheap magical stuff off of the main character, and he picks up a cursed knife that makes him go crazy, and he looks at the knife and he's like, I'll take this knife if I can take something else too. And they're like, oh yeah? What's that gonna be? And he brandishes it and goes, I'll take this knife and I'll take your lives with it! And they're like, oh god! It was amazing. So the bar. Yeah, that'll work fine. Okay, so start by heading north from Shibuya Station. After a while, you'll hit a... Man, you're losing me, game. After a while, you'll hit a 3-way intersection. Turn left there, and then about 100 meters after that, take a right. Along the way, there will be a side street that branches off at a diagonal. Go down that and take a right at the second intersection, then head right down the stairs there, and it'll look like you need to go left at this slightly curving incline, but go right, and... Okay, this is getting way too complicated, to the point where I'm actually overlapping text with you now. Hello there, Barry. Where's Barry? Barry! Where's Barry? Forget it. I'll pick a place. Minorikawa suggested the cafe by the station. By now, it was comfortably familiar. So we're just doing the cafe? Okay. So we chose the one option that's not the cafe. He quickly described the location. Okay, Toyama said. Cafe Lautrec. Got it. I'll see you there. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki, how's that copy coming? Oh, yeah. No, I can't skip this. Almost done. A little more. Alright, so we're gonna get ready to head to the cafe, but then we have to do this whole reading with Pocket Watch Guy. I don't think I could... Oh, thank God. Alright, we're good. Oh, thank God. Alright. Doing it! So that whole dialogue is going to be the same. Alright. Copy the data, let's go. Head to the cafe. They reached Cafe Lautrec without incident, and Minorikawa promptly spotted the publisher. Over here, Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, sullenly sipping on some juice. The waitress came over as Minorikawa joined them. May I take your order, she asked. Water. Just water, sir? Fine, make it a double. A double of water. Exasperated, the waitress headed back to the kitchen. Toyama looked over at Katayama. Who is this guy? Hello there, Danny boy. I'm Koichiro Katayama from Cho Nippon Printing. Is that like an actual business card? Can I contact this guy? Toyama turned to Minorikawa with a quizzical look. What's someone from the printer doing with you? I'll explain later. There's no time for that right now, Minorikawa replied. First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Osawa ring any bells? Osawa? Toyama closed his eyes in thought. He heads up a laboratory at Okoshi Pharmaceutical. You ran a piece on him in the first ever issue of 4-Star General Gossip. Toyama's face lit up with recognition. Ah, yes, that political marriage piece. Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details from that article? I love how Hana's just like, Of course. Who do you think I am? Toyama puffed himself up proudly. I used to be local news copy editor for the Central Times. I've got the details for all the stuff I've ever covered here in my head. In that case, do you know who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married? Toyama blinked his eyes vacantly. Hey, what's the matter? Minorikawa asked. This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me. Surprise, kids! It's time for a science quiz. What colorless, odorless gas, lighter than and air... Again, game, you're losing me this chapter. What colorless, odorless gas, lighter than air, and used for consumer and municipal gas applications is also known as marsh gas or swamp gas? Helium, ethylene, propane, or methane? Tune in next time for the answer. Maybe it's ethylene, because I'm pretty sure propane and methane have odor. And helium... Helium is lighter than air. That's a contender. But swamp gas? Maybe it is helium. Because didn't they mention that in, like, Men in Black? That BS excuse for aliens? Oh, it was a weather balloon. It was swamp gas. So maybe it is helium. The chat's, like, unanimously saying methane. Is methane odorless? If methane's odorless, then I guess I'm just way off. I don't know. Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head. Oh, they're in there, alright. They're just not coming out. Minorikawa slumped. Everybody is saying methane. Okay, I guess I'm the one guy who doesn't know this. How embarrassing. Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debts depends on your memory here. Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father. Alright, I can remember. Or I can at least try. Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself, his gaze turned inward. So... If I feel like it was a really common name. Sato, Chiaki chirped. Yamada! Was it either of those? Wow. This is the most obscure reference I'm probably ever going to make, but the movie Funky Forest, which somehow got localized in the West, had this part where someone's giving somebody else crap, because, like, Yamada? What a common name! They're pretty common names. But Toyama shook his head. Minoru Arakawa offered a guess of his own. Suzuki, Takahashi, Endo, Tanaka. I mean, the assumption with Osawa has been Tanaka, but it could theoretically be anyone. Odracologist has a quote, "At room temperature and standard pressure, methane is a colorless, odorless gas." Well then, I guess you got me there. So yeah, Suzuki, Takahashi, Endo, or Tanaka. What's it gonna be, ladies and gentlemen? Any options for this? I'm assuming we want to go with Tanaka, but who the hell knows? Any votes from the chat? Yeah, 4 choices. What do we do? Is it the first time? I don't know, actually. But I'm waiting for people to weigh in. If they don't, then I'm just going to go with Tanaka myself. Although Endo, I think, is a more common name. Meowington, what was the question? It was, who do you think Osawa's wife was dating before she married Osawa? So, yeah, Ai's first husband. Or, not husband, but dating. So we have 2 votes for D, 1 vote for C. Do we have any more? 3 for D. 4 for D. It looks like this is the trend. I just hope this isn't a gotcha answer. We'll see what happens. Tanaka! No, not that. It was something else. Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to a news report on the Shibuya explosion. Maybe I should go back. The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who has since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. Mamoru Tanaka? Toyama turned around to look at the TV. An image of the victim's face appeared on screen. What? The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat. That's it! It was him, right there! Oh, so we were right. Hooray. Mamoru Tanaka! Well, that's what I said, Tanaka. Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen. That's who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married! Mamoru Tanaka! Minoru Arakawa felt himself getting goosebumps. The victim of the terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who was a key to a terrorist viral scare. Yeah, that's ridiculous. His reporter's hunch was now a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that next month's issue hits shelves. Minoru Arakawa called up Kenji Osawa to let him know the results of his little investigation. Now he could switch if we were playing as Osawa. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. Probably he'd had his suspicions all along. Osawa told him that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give details on the big scoop, but that he would call back later. In the meantime, Minoru Arakawa knew he'd have his hands full getting the current issue of The Gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. He slapped his hands down on the table. Alright, emergency editing meeting, right here, he announced. We need to get a lead in on the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest can be dropped for that. We'll use the info from Kenji Osawa as the basis for our big scoop in the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with that? No, that should be fine, but what about the remaining pages for next month's issue? Minoru Arakawa opened the file on his computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo, the surveillance camera opinion piece, the interview with ORI, those 3 are finished, the copy already incorporated into the layout. Once Chiaki's street interview piece was loaded in, that one could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along? I'm sorry, I just need a little bit longer. The writing seemed to still be giving her a fair bit of trouble. Oh yeah, Barry Where's Barry? You're saying I usually don't care for visual novels, but this one looks interesting? Yeah, this one got a 40 out of 40 from Famitsu. Like, this is legendary in Japan. And it's I'm loving this. I didn't know what this game would be when I gave it a shot, and I am so happy I started streaming it. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout, and Minoru Arakawa hadn't even gotten any material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki's street interviews. Still, he'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. He'd just have to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then there was the lead-in for Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just him and Chiaki to do. Well, 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 and how are things coming along? Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. Minorukawa hurried to cover the screen. Don't look. If the printer rep saw the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting. Would you mind telling me roughly what percent of the total you have completed thus far? What percent? Come off it, man. We're at 100%. If you're 100% done, that implies that you're all finished. Could I please have the data then? No, I'm saying our willpower is at 100%. I'm not even going to pretend I understand what you mean by that. Shaking his head, Katayama sat back down in his chair. Minorukawa, Toyama asked, his expression uneasy. So I know I asked before, but why is someone from the printer here again? Whoa! This game hasn't done that view before. Katayama promptly chimed in. The long and short of it is that your proofing deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock, he said. What? But that's impossible! Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing? Toyama eyed Minorukawa and then Chiaki, and both stared back non-committally. Then it really is impossible. We'll never meet that deadline. We don't have enough people. No, we do have enough. Minorukawa thrust out his finger. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one and handle the layout. What? Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head. Even if I headed to the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets have already gotten their coverage. I wouldn't be able to find anything new to write about. Oh, damn, video? Jesus! Katayama's like, huh. Interesting. And so you're just going to give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor, Minorukawa glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about the things the mass media can't or won't write about. So what the hell difference does it make if they've already gotten the sound bites thereafter? Minorukawa's voice was raw with emotion. Don't you dare give up! Not that easily! Get your ass out there! Find something that only you can write about! Minorukawa. Toyama began to object, then he glanced over at Hana. There was an imploring look in her eyes as well. It must be so weird playing Hana in this game. She's just like expressionless the entire time, or like sulky. I get what you're saying, Toyama grumbled, but still, you're expecting a lot. But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah, Minorukawa let out a quiet chuckle. And it's got you all fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up alright. Toyama's face shone with a resolve Minorukawa hadn't seen in a long time. There we go, that's the Toyama I know. You know, I'm really sorry. Now I see the huge burden I put on you. But damn it, it's going to be alright. Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strode boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. Minorukawa watched them go, glad the dithering was over. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. When it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. Minorukawa shook himself out of his reverie. All right, he cried. Despite the clear blue sky, the clear blue sky, clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across his cheek. Come on, guys, we gotta get going too. Things might look grim, but he wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head to the SOS hangout, Inferno. This could be rough. The three ran long and hard after leaving the cafe. If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, then they needed to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at the latest. The gang's hangout was in Ora Harajuku. Running all the way there on foot was going to eat into too much of their time. Oh no. But traffic was at a near standstill for some reason, and there wasn't a taxi in sight. How long do you plan on running like this? Katayama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road! With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even Minorukawa was feeling the time pressure now. We're just gonna have to keep running until the road's clear. What? Katayama wailed. Stop your whining, just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to find his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and no way was some printer guy going to mess that up now. But the traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, Minorukawa kept up his desperate, headlong rush. To rush into a situation recklessly or heedlessly, not quite the same as being Daredevil. Thank you. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion set in. Eek! Oh no. Ooh, rough. As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. Hey you, Minorukawa slapped at Katayama. Don't just stand there, help the poor girl already. Katayama scurried over to Chiaki. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was cruel to make her run with her computer all the way to Harajuku, but the copy for her interviews still needed to be looked over. They couldn't just leave her here. Minorukawa hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with the traffic the way it was, there was nothing they could do. You now have, Katayama consulted his pocket watch, exactly 1 hour remaining. Damn it, Minorukawa raged. What do we do? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on. Oh, is this to be continued? Is this like the last hour? Oh man, because we're going to get a big conclusion at some point. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well then. Okay. Interesting that it's not end, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Achi, Kano, Osawa. Who is it going to be? I am curious. Any thoughts on this one? Hello there, Jay Williams. I changed my mind, Kaneyama sucks. Back to his time. So yes, which character? We have 1 vote for Kano, 2 votes for Achi. Excuse me, 3 votes for Achi. 4 for Achi. Okay. It's looking like we're going with Achi. More for Achi. Alright, let's go. Achi told Stanley and Hitomi what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. I'm so sorry, Achi told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister. A state where brain function has ceased irreversibly. In Japan, there are 2 conditions for declaring breath death? What? The first is that the patient must be comatose and in a state of apnea, no longer breathing. Okay, fair enough. Due to damage to the brain. The second is that the root cause is diagnosed and it is deemed that no reasonable treatment will restore brain function. Stop, Achi said quickly. Please don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face and she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Achi, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but we have other things to worry about right now. This time it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, Alphard is after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Kanan told you? Yes. She said I was the mastermind's target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. So Alphard and Achi's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? It didn't sound like he thought so. Hold up, Achi growls, leaning in from the back seat. Yeah, my dad's way out of line, but he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. Never send a man to do a machine's job. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alphard thinks. So, actually the likelihood of failure could well be part of the plan. Archie thought back to what Kanan had said earlier. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred and it makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it. Should be a comma after plan. So if we assume the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alphard wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole then, Archie said. Stanley snorted. Kanan told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool. What did you just call me? Archie barked. If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. Either is, but okay. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. What exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating? Archie and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Archie decided he better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that you can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. If you can only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not gonna just walk on by because there are people starving somewhere else in the world. I'd be all, hey, let me treat you to a beef bowl, or whatever. Hey there, Dihypnus. You couldn't have come up with a smarter example? Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot, Archie scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. Today's been an interesting day, he said. I was with another fellow earlier who was just like you. Meaning what? Was he an idiot too? Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Hardly. My little sister's so smart she'd make your eyes pop out. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. Huh? What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man, Archie shot back. But Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. They were close to Shibuya Station now, and the traffic had ground to a halt. Hello there, LT Gray on the Walrus. Gridlock again, Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics. He pulled over on the side of the road. Specifically, the shoulder that runs along either side of the traveled portion of the roadway, a place where trash tossed out of the windows of moving cars tends to accumulate. Great. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans out onto the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please, don't litter. Thank you. Archie got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon he was going to have to confront his father. Stanley gave Archie a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm going to punch him right in the face. Then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. I don't give a damn about that. Archie took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. They'd gone up and down Dogenzaka so many times today already, but this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising, Archie picked up speed as he marched onward, wanting to confront his father as soon as possible. Archie walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together just a little longer. Interesting. So, speed up or not? A or B, ladies and gentlemen, I'm curious. Any takes on this particular choice? This one might actually affect things. Again, there's no way we're getting a bad ending, but we can see what happens. So let's see if anybody weighs in. We have 1 vote for B. 2. 1 for A. Anything else? Because if not, then I'm going with B. We have 3 for B. 2 for A. 3 for A, so now we're tied. 4 for B. It's looking like B has a bit of an edge, so let's go. Oh wait, well, it just tied, so 4 and 4. I am tempted to go with B myself, so if it's a tie, then I'll break it with B. So any other takes? That's looking like a no, so I'll be the tiebreaker. Delay the time. Once they'd reached his home, this kidnapping case would be all over, because his own father, Daisuke, would be arrested as the culprit. Kidnapping for ransom carries a potential life sentence, with a definite term of imprisonment of no less than 3 years. Bringing Daisuke down would be easy. Achi wasn't worried about that part at all. If he didn't hold back, there was a good chance he'd wind up hurting his father. Holding back? Getting hurt? A memory from long ago rose in Achi's mind. A pure white karate gi, thrusting out with his left fist. Daisuke collapsing to the floor. One of many memories of his father that Achi could not forget. Huh. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother, Kotone, Achi wept uncontrollably. He clutched his ohajiki tightly in his hands. A toy made of small, coin-shaped glass beads, somewhat similar to marbles. The typical game involves flicking one's pieces into the opponents with a fingertip. Specific rules vary greatly by region. Huh. Achi had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she had often joined him for ohajiki, origami, and the like. On this particular day, Achi had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Achi. He turned to see his father holding 2 cups of shaved ice. Come here for a bit. They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confections. You want to get tougher? Daisuke soft and simple. They're frowning in confusion. How are we going to do that? Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate? Karate? Achi's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. It'll be alright, his dad said. I'll go with you. Don't you worry. Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Achi was well aware that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into Achi's mind. A type of children's event where the parents who have come to watch their children compete are asked to join in with them. Daisuke took part in the tug-of-war, only to get tangled up on the rope and dragged over the line. Achi was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating the lunch his father had made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Achi could tell how hard he'd worked to prepare them. I mean, if you're going to be there. And so the two began training together at a local karate dojo. Achi put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. Ichi, ni, san. Achi's gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as he thrust out his fists in time with the sensei's chant. Even simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger somehow. His dad, having left Suzune in care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside him. But he was out of shape and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted and went to lean up against the dojo wall. Achi stepped out of the training circle and called out to his father. "Dad, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm just gonna take a little break." Daisuke sounded like he was on the edge of hyperventilating. Damn. "Thanks, Dad." "Huh? What for?" "For asking me to come take karate lessons with you." Achi was sure he'd never have dared to go to the dojo alone. "Hey, just so long as you're liking it. Now go on, get back to training." With a deep bow, Achi resumed his kata practice. As they were walking home from the dojo, Achi turned to his father. "How come you want to get stronger, Dad?" he asked. "I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends." Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward and embarrassed. "I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would always come and bail me out." "A friend?" "Yeah, a friend." A distant look came to his father's eyes. "He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong like him." His expression turned lonely. "I don't get to see him anymore, though." "Why not?" Achi asked. "Did he die?" No, nothing like that." "Well, then did you guys have a fight?" "Something like that." Daisuke smiled sadly. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. "His name's Tateno." "Hmm?" "My friend, that's his name." Achi's father increased his pace. "Come on," he said. "We have to go and pick up Suzune." After that, despite Achi's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friends. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Achi had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he had the physical knack in him all along. He was chosen as a representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in a national tournament. Nobody bullied Achi anymore. One time, Daisuke suggested the two of them do some sparring. Achi may have been a national competitor, sure, but he was still a grade schooler squaring off against an adult. His father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown accordingly. Achi was excited to be able to face off against his old man. Early on in their karate training, Achi's kumite had seemed rather hopeless. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father was able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. This time Achi thought he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke's face was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened with a sharp low kick. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi like he'd allowed himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. Achi proceeded to unleash several more low kicks to the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when Achi realized. His father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Achi felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness. He decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, he aimed at a punch at his father's midsection. He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He hadn't attacked with a great deal of force, he'd just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. But as Achi pulled back his fist, Daisuke crumbled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clutched his gut. Achi stared in disbelief at his own hand. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Achi was on his way home from practice, and some older students of the dojo had started ribbing on him. What did you just say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it just short of one boy's nose. Go on, say it again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale, then took off and ran, but this small victory did nothing to bolster Achi's spirits. His father had looked so small and lonely, heading away after quitting karate, but Achi didn't think there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father, but really, what difference did that make? In growing stronger, he'd learned something. Using force to win out over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Achi loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way it felt. Achi resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on his phone. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogonzaga, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Curious, Achi turned to the American. Who were you just talking to? What was that about just now? By bring Hitomi in, do you mean you're going to arrest her? So who, what exactly do you mean about bringing in Hitomi specifically? So A, B, or C? Chat, I'm curious as to how this is going to go. We're definitely building up to something, so I want to see where this goes. I don't think this choice is particularly going to matter regarding like a keep out or something, but we shall see. And yeah, really, Fakafan, trying to get another girl killed. Good reason to punch the old man in the face. So 1 vote for C. Anything else? C again. A and C. So we have 3 C's, 1 A. 1 for B. 2 for B. Any more? 4 for C. Yeah, looks like we're doing C. You mean you're going to arrest her? Achi couldn't think of any other reason to take her to the precinct. I'm just going to move her someplace safe. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not going to get much out of this guy, Achi thought. Move her someplace safe, huh? Was he actually serious or just being evasive? Achi couldn't really tell. If they did try to arrest Hitomi, though, Achi intended to stop them, one way or another. He needed to protect her all the way to the end. Inwardly, he reaffirmed the vow he'd made earlier to keep her safe whatever it took. Oh my god, they're there. By now, they could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Achi was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two wait out here. No way! This is my dad we're talking about! And you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit, and once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. Cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. Achi fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi? Yes? I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Achi, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah, I know. Suddenly there was a loud crash from inside the building. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go! Achi and Hitomi raced inside. Barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes, he heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. So he is home. Oh jeez. Dad! Achi hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across a desk. Let me go! Please, let me go! Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my father go. I want to talk to him. Stanley snorted dismissively, but did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where is Maria? Maria? What are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me. Achi pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Osawa, the girl you've been after? Maria's her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously? It's all so simple. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras, and you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe? I have no idea what you're talking about, Daisuke spat. You can't do this to an innocent person, Dad, Achi shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop, that threw me off. Someone was quickly getting closer. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. If this is Suzumu, we're going to have a bad time. Achi stiffened as he turned his gaze to the door. Oh man, holding that shot is brutal. Oh no! Oh, not cool. That's real tension too. Damn. Alright, you know what? I'll try for a little more time. Who's it gonna be, ladies and gentlemen? Kano or Osawa? Oh, Kanan, possibly. That might be nice, but we'll see. So 1 vote for Osawa. Do we have any more votes? What's it gonna be, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe Kano went inside? Yeah, who knows? No, because Kano's with the guy with the cane. Unless he came back. Oh, well, this is way later, though, so maybe he came in. So 1 for Osawa, 5 for Kano, 2 for Osawa. That's what it is right now. People are really laying into Kano here. Which is actually where I thought they would go in the first place. El Tigre and the Walrus, this is a PlayStation 4 game, and it's also on Steam. It was originally on the Wii, but that's Japan only. Alright, so people are really going for Kano here, so let's go! That gunshot, man. A gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun. But it was a wild shot, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. So now we get to see continuity with Maria's story. Maria! Kano shouted. He started the chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. Okay. A little much. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. Stop right there! Jesus, that knife. The knife stopped mere millimeters from Tateno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. You. I know you, Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. Yep. It was the girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. Why stop me, she asked, her tone ice cold. Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself? I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape. Please put the knife away. Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway. Damn. The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. Why did you come to Maria's rescue? Because she's my friend, the girl said simply. She's been infected with the virus, Kano said. We have to get her to help as soon as possible. He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down. Not so fast. Don't move. The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. What for? He demanded. I thought you wanted to help. I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her. The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her. Oh, that's her talking. Just who in the world are you? Before I answer that, let's make a deal. Kano waited, non-committal. I have information relevant to this case, the girl continued. I want to make an exchange. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. An exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is. Hitomi Osawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but... Why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Do we have a deal or not? The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the UA virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. Alright, I'll tell you. No way, I can't share that info. First, I need to know who you are. Okay, well, if it is Kanan in the Achi storyline, then we should probably tell her. But, what is your take on this, chat? A, yes, B, no, C, hold on, what's going on? How's this gonna work? Yeah, that's a good point, Fakafan. We already leaked the name Tanaka to the press. B and 2 A's. Anything more? 3 A's. Four A's. Alright. Alright, I'll tell you. Kano agreed. The girl gave a tiny nod. But first, what's your name? Kanan. Kanan? Oh god, was that her? Kano thought back to the grisly scene of the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. Did she do that? He was almost afraid to wonder. There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in the strange girl's face. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet, Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Tateno unconscious. Alright then, guess I'll go first, Kanan began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person, and put a stop to their plan. Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that had happened today, he realized his sensibilities gone numb. This person you're after, you're talking about an arms dealer named Alphard, aren't you? Kanan nodded. The UA virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect, she said. The antiviral would render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alphard orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There was a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kano was sure Alphard's plan was hidden in those baffling details. Lab security at Akashi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face. If you were Alphard, how would you steal it, she asked. Huh? Kano was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. There must be some way to get those locks open, right? Osawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? If he can't sneak something out, maybe he could sneak something in. You wouldn't need to steal it. Just wait till the drug hits pharmacy shelves, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how much this question matters, but we have 4 options. Open the locks, Osawa himself, sneak something in, not out. Just sit there and wait. What do we have for this option, chat? Help me out here. What's it gonna be? This panning shot, too. This constant movement. 1 for C. 2 for C. 3 for C. Okay. Honestly, that would have been my vote, too. 4 for C. Okay. Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod. Very astute. Wait, really? 6 days ago, Alphard injected Hitomi Osawa with the UA virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected, but Hitomi as well? And 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself, but if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean... He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, Kanan said, which is why Alphard bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alphard have Hitomi infected with the virus only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa now would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alphard must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means the thing that Alphard's really after is... Kanan nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alphard specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Kanan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about the story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Kanan. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Was there really no other way to get at the antiviral? Chat, once again. 1, 2, or 3. Kidnap Hitomi, use Tanaka. Was there really no other way? How is this vote going to go, people? We're getting a bunch of choices here. Again, I don't know how much it's going to affect the story, but it's interesting to pursue. How is this going to work? Any options for this? Because if not, then I'll make a decision myself. 1 for B. 1 for C. B. C. I might go with B just so we can have Kano learn about Hitomi's Bombay blood, but we have 3 for C right now. Again, I don't know if this choice is going to matter anyway. 3 for B, 3 for C. Oh, wait, Meowington, you changed? So 3 for B and 2 for C. Alright. Why not use Tanaka? Tanaka could enter the lab along with Osawa, then secretly inject himself with the antiviral. It didn't seem like that would be terribly difficult. A good question. If getting the antiviral were the only goal, that would be the most expedient means of doing it. So then why use Hitomi Osawa? Kano asked. Kanan thought for a moment before answering. Tanaka may have objected to the idea of giving himself the drug. I hear that it can have some severe side effects. But she seemed unconvinced by her own words. Huh. Do you know why they targeted Hitomi? Kano demanded. I don't. But I'm sure there must be some reason. Alphard hadn't gone with using Tanaka, which would have been the sure thing. Instead, they'd gone with Hitomi. Hitomi was injected with the virus, brought into the lab, and used to sneak the antiviral out. Now, the plan was to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. Something about this idea still struck Kano as incredibly odd. So wait, why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning, so it forces us to do A? Why kidnap Maria instead? Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi? Surely they couldn't have been so foolish as to abduct the wrong target. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? I mean, A and B are like the same thing, but chat, help me out one more time, please. A. Had they mistaken Maria for Hitomi? B. Nah, they couldn't have made a mistake. They, like, what? C. The girls got themselves mixed up. What's it gonna be then, ladies and gentlemen? We're getting a lot of options in a row, but again, these might be non-choices. Do we have a take on this? Two for C. 3 for C. Yeah, because the girls did get themselves mixed up. Yep. Maria with Hitomi, Hitomi with Maria. If that were the case, then the Syndicate's plan actually had been to abduct Hitomi. Yeah, Kano said excitedly. When you think about it, it all makes sense. Kanan gave him a look. No, it doesn't. Not that it isn't an interesting idea. Well, so much for that, Kano thought. I've met both Maria and Hitomi, Kanan said. They look alike, but they're completely different. That was definitely Maria who was here just now. She had a point. Last night, back at the Osawa residence, when Hitomi had agreed to make the ransom handoff, her parents would have been with her. And they certainly wouldn't get Maria and Hitomi confused. It was hard to believe the girls had actually switched places, which meant the criminals had deliberately abducted Maria after all. It'd be like mixing up two completely different colors, Kanan said. They're that different. So it wasn't Alphard's mistake. It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped. Kanan looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. My plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alphard. What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or, if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident, though, Kanan continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alphard hadn't counted on. Kanan cast a glance over at Tateno. This person right here, she said. So Tateno had disrupted Alphard's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Kanan continued, Alphard must be panicking about now, but we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan, is that what you're saying? Precisely. Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, Kano said, the man who drove you to the hospital earlier. That case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was CIA. The U.S. Embassy in Osaka functions as the headquarters for the CIA's Japan branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, often under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel, nothing personnel, kid, active in Japan, but given the inherent secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Now that I kind of thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alphard is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alphard's plan. A tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal Digital Assistant. Refers to handheld types of small portable devices for information management, occasionally also referred to as a handheld PC. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Kanan frowned. At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. Alright. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. So that's the call with Achi, right? This is great. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alphard is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Kanan. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. So that's the actual conversation. Danny boy, what year is this? 2008. That's when this game came out. Where is she? Kanan asked as soon as Kano had hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Kanan was off and running. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Titano, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. Oh boy. They ran from South Hill and Nanpeidai toward Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. "Hey!" Kano called out to Kanan. "What?" she shouted back without turning. "Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS?" "No, it's not that. Actually, can I see the GPS?" "Wow. Chat, what are we doing with this?" "No, I'm not doubting it. Actually, can I see it?" Also, yeah, wait, this game came out in 08, so it must have obviously been made earlier. 06? But yeah, so what are we doing with this, chat? This is by far the most decisions, and yet none of them lead to a bad end. It's all about Minorikawa. So yeah, I don't doubt the GPS, ... or, can I see it? What are we doing with this? I want to see people's takes. We have B. Hello, Feargale the Fearless. Everyone's going with B, it looks like. Can I see the GPS? Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw that the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. Huh. Endo Electronics is right up ahead, he said. What? Kanan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading in for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Kanan said. Or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think you've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report into HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze in his cell. Oh boy. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Osawa. Huh? Was it? Kuze's words came out of surprise and childish yelp. Come on. Kanan's smile turned to a steely glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Kuze asked. Where are you? I can't say right now, sir. Please just leave this to me. Hey, now just hold on! But Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Oh man. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alphard's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, wheezed in anger. Here it is. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Maria and Stanley were standing there, looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. If they provoked the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man could take him down, or talk him down. This is where we can continue Achi's story. Oh, is that to be continued? No, it's both keep out. Oh, man. But we can bounce to Achi and see what happens. This is super tense. But I'm gonna do it. Yo, this is really building up to a climax here. I'll wrap up Achi's story, but even if we can go back to Kano, I'm going to call it quits there, because I can only stream for so long. This is great. There. I can't! Wow, I need to play as Osawa then. We have to play as Osawa next. So once Osawa gets involved with this, I guess we could jump around to him and to Achi and all that stuff. So we're stuck. I have to play as Osawa next. It's the only option. Unless I chose something wrong with somebody else earlier and we have to fix that, but I'm pretty sure we did about all we can do. But then again, though, wait a minute. There was no stun gun, though. There was no stun gun. I do have to go back to Achi. I think. I'm going to hazard... Oh, wait. Meowington, Osawa needs to be at Endo? Because I was going to say, what if we hurry up with Achi? Because the stun gun thing didn't happen with Achi's story. So did I do the right thing with Achi then, Meowington? Should I go... Like, do I want to go fast to Endo Electronics, or do I want to go slow? Let me see what happens if I go fast. His father was wrong. Even if he was acting to save Suzune, he was absolutely wrong. A crime was a crime regardless of the motive. This was a crime his father needed to atone for, and if he resisted, Achi would need to take him down, even if he had to use his fists. Even if I have to use my fists. And now we get what's probably our flashback, right? We'll see what happens. If this doesn't work, then I'll bounce back. This is the flashback. No, it looks like it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have to play as Osawa. That's it. Okay. We're stuck. So Osawa is next. Then I have to bounce to Minurikawa in order to jump to Osawa's Keep Out. We maybe finish Osawa, and then we're able to jump to Kano, and we could jump to Achi. I think that's how it's going to have to work. So we have to stop the stream now. So thank you very much for joining the stream, and have a wonderful night.